Hello, students of 9th. Welcome to St. Joseph's School and the online class, and we'll start today the poem of Robert Frost, The Road Not Taken. Now, talking about the poem, what is it about? The poem is about the actual figurative road we take and the road we walk on and drive in our life. So both these are compared over here. So it is a metamorphic type of a poem where metaphor is the implicit thing that is always on the cards of the poet. Now the road which we take, suppose the poet is standing here, he wants to take this road or the alternate this road. So on that basis his life will be affected. If he moves by this road, he has to proceed by this road, and he cannot as a person take the another road simultaneously. So he has to let go either of the road, and once he passes that road, then what will happen? He will think about it, okay, why I have not, taking this road might be is right or wrong choice. He will come to know when he completes it. But at the end of the day, when he comes to know that this is better, then also he cannot do anything, because once he has taken this path, he cannot move to this path. So it's a very type of a poem, we can say, that it touches our daily life. Robert Frost always wrote poetry with poetic devices, very common and having general expressions. Like you can see the road taken away. The road is a metaphor. It doesn't mean the road, he means what we are walking on the road alone. The path which we take on the road, that is also part and parcel of the word road over here. In the same way, in 10th standard, when you move, the very early poems which you study and learn will be also written by Robert Frost. And in that, the title of the poem is, you can say, Dust of Snow. Dust and snow. And the other is fire and ice. So both these terms are also poetic devices, very common in our life. We study, and small children also know these words. But he uses these poetic devices in a way that you have to be, delve deep into. You have to think deep about it. That is called written with insight. The insightfulness which Robert Frost uses, his poems that way are unique. So line-to-line explanation of the poem we will start now. Two roads diverge in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. So two roads are there, as I told you. He travels by this road, he has to abandon the other. And be one traveler, he is one traveler, so he cannot simultaneously travel both. I stood and looked one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Undergrowth, the shrubs and small trees and low vegetation which grows are undergrowth. So the poet bends through the road and sees whether this road has undergrowth and where it bends. Because before taking any decision, when we are on the crossroads, we have to see which road is beneficial or better for us. So here the same thing, Frost says there, the writer, he has to decide. So he is looking deep into this road and seeing the undergrowth in that. In the first stanza, that completes. Then in the second stanza it says, then took the other just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim. When I saw this, I saw the road trodden and not many people had passed. So I decided to go through the other road, which according to him had a better claim. So better claim here is preferable. That was preferable for him. If he trod through this road, it would be better according to the poet. though as far as passing there had warned them really about the same. Here this poem is also ambiguous. Ambiguous means the poet is confused. Earlier he says that the path is less trodden. Then again in the second instance, in the second line, 2 lines of the stanza, he says that the same way the trodden path was, and some people had gone through that road also. Moving to the third stanza. And both that morning equally lay. In the morning when he was standing here and watching, it equally lay. The layout of this road was as it is. In leaves no step had trodden black. So in that no leaves had been trodden means no people had walked on that road. Oh, I kept the first another day. So as he decided, one he has to move, the other he has to abandon. So he moves that way. I kept the first for another day. He thinks that once I finish this road, once I take this path, complete it, again come here and move to the other path. He thinks of that, but he knows very well. Yet knowing how way lead to lead, I doubted I should ever come back. The way after way, if I move this, I'll move on and on. Then life is not very long, that once I get the time to pass this whole path of life, I can turn back and come over here. The poet says that. I doubted if I should ever come back. So here he says, in this third stanza, that he cannot come back. There is no way he can come back. He knows that. Then also, he keeps an option. But obviously, that would not work. He knows it. In the last stanza, when he says in the first line that he has moved through this road and he is telling with a sigh, he is accepted and he's moved through that road and he feels shy. Somewhere ages and ages hence, ages and ages end. When he has completed and whole life is over maybe, and then he is, thinking about it. I've taken this path. What he thinks? 2 roads diverge in a wood. Again, he reminds in that age when he has completed this road that I was standing here. 2 roads diverged. 2 roads diverge in the wood, and I took the one less traveled by. I took the path which was less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. And that has made a difference in my life. As I earlier told in the summary, that one path which you take, maybe you don't know at the end of the day what will happen, on the end of the life what will happen. And that path which you take is not always the one you wanted to. And at that time, here the poet in the last 2 lines again, he is keeping the question open. He is raising ambiguity here also. He doesn't reveal to us that what decision he had taken, how was the road, what path he had taken, what were the consequences on the way, and what actually happened. But we can infer from this first line when he says, I shall be telling with the shy. Shy here is regret. Shy here is regret. Regret means is regret. So regret means pachtawa. No, he's not happy. So that itself tells us that when he is regretting that what he had taken decision, that means the last 2 lines when he's trying to say that it has made all the difference. The difference is negative. Regretting is negative. Correct? So here the poem is very simple, yet very philosophical, wherein it is a it is a metaphor. Metaphor is indirect comparison. A road is compared to the other thing in life. So whole poem is that way. A metaphor. So here we can now see through the basic figures of speech. The figures of speech that we will see I think in the 8th standard you already know the basic figures of speech. Basic figures of speech like simile, metaphor, repetition, hyperbole. Then also today I will send you a pic of all the figures of speech on your group, in your group in WhatsApp, and you have to copy those figures of speech in your fair and revise it again. So here, as I told you, the first line is metaphor. First line is metaphor. Then in the third line, as far as simile, third line, it is simile. Simile, you'll see, that is direct comparison. As, like, these words give direct comparison. So there is simile. Then if you see in the second stanza, and this is first stanza, now we go through the second stanza. Third line, there is alliteration. Alliteration is here words w wanted and where. These consonant sounds are repeated. Therefore, it is alliteration. Alliteration. And also the second figure of speech for the same line is personification. Personification. Then moving further, there is metaphor in the earlier further lines, which will not consider here, because this repetition, as road is, or wherever the road word comes, it is a metaphor. But in the third stanza, if we now move, third stanza, there is the word repetition in the third line. Repetition of fourth line, rather. Fourth line, that is repetition. Repetition of the word. Repetition of the word is way. Okay, way is repeated. In the last stanza, that is the fourth stanza, the figure of speech is ages and ages. That is, in the second line. The figure of speech is hyperbole. Hyperbole is exaggeration in saying something, like ages and ages. The life of Robert Frost, the poet, is limited to a human life of some age. Now he considers himself as to stay on or live for ages and ages. It's exaggeration. Therefore, we call it hyperbole. So this figure of speech is also important. So this many figures of speech which are common in this poem are okay for you, but the other topic related to this poem is the rhyming scheme. The rhyme scheme. The rhyme scheme of the poem, what you have to do to decide which rhyming scheme this particular stanza is having, or the whole poem is having. So we will see in the first stanza, the last words are would. Last words are would. Then the both. Then there is stood. Then there is could. And the last one is undergrowth. Got it? So all these 5 words which are in the 5 lines, which are the last words, you have to be, taking into consideration to decide which rhyming scheme. Now suppose the would. Would is we can say rhyming with, we'll give it A. Then the other word with wood is stood. So his also will be A. Okay, stood, and also the next could is also A, because stood, would, could, all these rhyme similar. And the other one is both. So it is not rhyming with this, so we give it B. And also give with this both, the undergrowth is also rhyming. Okay, so these words which we have written, the last words of the lines of the first stanza, they rhyme in this particular pattern. So the rhyming scheme therefore will be A, B, A, D. Okay, that we have to decide the rhyming scheme of the poem. So with this, we today complete this poem, The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost, and I wish you have to complete the notes and textual exercise by yourself at home and complete this for till the further topic we will decide in the next period. So complete this and have a nice day.